last month, my sister informed me that our mother was having nightmares. And before you express your concern, I would like you to know that this story has a much lighter punchline than the opening statement might suggest. My mom and sister had recently just started going to bed after watching a little light-hearted Criminal Minds, as you do. And my mom was having nightmares because of it. My sister, however, completely unfazed. Now, I know my mom is much more easily spooked than my sister, but the scenario really got me to think. Why is it that my mother, who's seen so much more of life than my sister has, be so easily influenced by the violent nature of this TV show? When I asked my mom about it, she said she's simply not used to it. And it hit me. My mother has yet to have fallen to one of the underlying problems in American society: desensitization. Desensitization is defined by an article in the National Library of Medicine as diminished emotional and physiological reactivity following repeated encounters with violence. My sister is always watching some gruesome or morbid TV show or movie. Heck, so do I. But unlike us, my mom lives in her own happy little bubble. This occurrence put me on a path to research desensitization of America's youth and how it might be affecting our future. Desensitization is not a hard concept to grasp. As people, we are raised to believe that structure and patterns in our lives are a good thing. We are creatures of habit, and psychologically the rules are no different. After exposure to a certain idea or action enough times, we begin to see it as commonplace. There are dozens of psychological studies that have supported the existence of desensitization, but where is it leading us? This graphic from the Journal of Arts and Social Sciences divides desensitization into 5 identifiable effects: decreased perception of injury severity, decreased attention to violent issues, decreased sympathy for violence victims, increased belief that violence is normative, and also it affects their attitude towards violence. These 5 areas define desensitization and puts the danger of this problem into perspective. And before diving further, I'd like to make it clear that I am not about to attack video games for making our youth more violent or anything like that. I simply wish to put into perspective an issue I believe is occurring in the psyches of young people. It is estimated that young people between the ages of 16 and 18 view 6,000 acts of violence in movies and TV in just 1 year. That's a lot of violence to be exposed to, but I believe it. I mean, heck, I thought that number was a little low, but maybe that's just me. But then you add in all other easily accessed forms of media that American youth is exposed to. With addition of other forms of media, the number grows to 10,000. And that's just for the 16 to 18-year-olds. My fear for society comes from the fact that these numbers have grown to their current value over the past 10 years. That means the number younger ages are being exposed to is also on an upward trend. This upward trend in numbers comes from several variables, but most prevalent is the sheer amount of violent media being produced in America. This graphic shows a startling increase in the amount of on-screen film deaths, especially between the years 2000 and 2010. And these numbers have continued to increase over the past 10 years because media companies have realized it's what audiences are craving. But with violent media consistently expanding, it's become all too easy to access and be exposed to it, especially for younger audiences. Now, it's no secret that kids have extremely malleable minds and therefore are susceptible to desensitization. But this also means that they are more likely to experience harmful side effects such as a lack of remorse or empathy. Another study posted in the Journal of Arts and Social Sciences observed a higher number of American youth with these harmful, harsh side effects the younger they'd been considered desensitized. The fear is that these desensitized children will grow up emotionally stunted and the world will be run by emotionless shells of human life. So, how do we stop this dangerous upward trend? Obviously, violent media isn't going away and the problem will be solved. So, psychologists say the best way to combat desensitization is simply limiting children's media exposure. It's not a perfect scenario, or solve, or solution, but it's what we have. Now, this doesn't have to be as extreme as taking their video games away or anything like that, but perhaps doing more to be aware of children's exposure as they navigate an ever-changing world constantly enveloped in violent media. Thank you.